everyone, I'm Savannah and this is Unisense. We are all about fragrances. We do fragrance reviews, hauls, comparisons, collections, niche, designer, and Middle Eastern fragrances. Today, I'll be reviewing YSL's Libre Flowers and Flames. I'll briefly go through the whole collection as well, but I'll only briefly go over them. I'm not going to go in depth with it. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, please consider subscribing and turn post notifications on. Let's jump in. So in the YSL Libre collection, there are quite a few fragrances. So there's the EDP, the EDT. I can't find in South Africa. I don't know if we ever had it in South Africa, but technically you had the EDT, the EDP, the EDP Intense, then the Le Parfum, then Absolu, Platine, now Flowers and Flames. So the EDT, I've never had it, I've never smelt it, so I can't really say anything about it. But I know elsewhere in the world you guys had it. Unfortunately, I never got to smell it. So the EDP is very lavender and orange blossom, somewhat vanillic, and it's quite citrusy. Citrusy in the opening, but it does die down and then it becomes more vanillic and lavender. Those are like the prominent notes: lavender, vanilla, and orange blossom. So those are the main notes. In the EDP, the vanilla is not as strong as in the EDP Intense. So it the vanilla increases as the fragrances continue on. In the EDP Intense, it's quite a heavy white floral, which is the orange blossom. It's very vanillic, which I love. So I have the Intense version. It's my favorite version. Yeah, so it's very vanillic with quite a bit of lavender. But the lavender is definitely not as strong as in the EDP, in my opinion. The tonka also comes through. There's a mild citrus in the opening, but it fades very, very quickly. It's not a strong citrus, but it's a little bit there. And longevity in all these fragrances, on all the Libre fragrances, have seemed to be really, really good. I haven't had one that doesn't have good performance as of yet. The new one I will get into a little bit later. Then came the Le Parfum version, which is very intense, lots of vanilla. You also pick up the saffron and the ginger quite heavily. There's not as much orange blossom in it. And it's definitely a darker fragrance and definitely, I would say, more dense. It's quite a dense fragrance. It's definitely more dense than the EDP and the EDP Intense. Then we had the Platine Absolu that was brought out. This was quite a different fragrance. I really liked the bottle. I never got it, but I did test it out quite a bit. It's quite different from the other. It's definitely more citrusy with the bergamot and the mandarin orange. So the dry down is quite aldehydic and lavender heavy. There's definitely not a lot of vanilla in this fragrance. It's, as I said, it's quite a different fragrance to the other Libres. I don't think it should have been a Libre. I thought that it should have been a separate fragrance. Now we get into Flowers and Flames. So if we look at the notes, in the top we have lavender and bergamot. In the mid we have orange blossom, lavender, coconut, lily, and palm tree. And in the base we have vanilla. So the note breakdown is quite a bit different to all the other Libres. The note breakdown is definitely quite different from the others, with the coconut and the lily and the palm tree. those are all quite different. So it still has the orange blossom, the lavender, and the vanilla, but it has a whole bunch of other notes that have been brought into it. So this fragrance is much more floral. It's still white florals, but it's definitely much more floral than the rest of the Libre line. It's definitely not as vanillic, but it still has vanilla in it, but it's not quite the same. It's a little bit fresher than the rest of the Libres. I would say it's more of a softer fragrance. Not necessarily a light fragrance, but softer, a little bit more feminine. Yeah, the other Libres had a sort of unisex aspect going on. But this one, I would say, is leaning quite feminine. I wouldn't say that it's a masculine fragrance at all. I find that there's a warmth in the undertones. It's just a much almost calmer fragrance. So I really like it. The projection and longevity are not as great as the rest of the Libres. It's still okay, but it's not as great. I get about 6 hours with moderate projection. If I overspray, then I get a little bit more than moderate. I get above moderate projection. It's definitely a year-round scent. You definitely pick up that coconut and that palm leaf. It's quite a dominant note in there, and I pick it up quite clearly. It's just very different from the rest of the Libre. So I found that it had almost like the same kind of breakdown and scent profile as the other Libres, but then because there was so much other things added, it changed the fragrance quite a bit, and those aspects from the original scent profile breakdown uh, are a little bit dulled out because there's so many other fragrance notes in there that are coming out a little bit stronger. So I would say it's very different from the other fragrances. You almost get a little bit of wateriness from the lily, which is really nice. It's something different, but it's a really nice watery kind of lily. And I would say that this fragrance is quite versatile. I would say it is slightly sexy. I don't think it's as sexy as some of the other Libres in the line, but it is slightly sexy, and it does give you a little bit more of a fresher take on the rest of the line. So if you're looking for something a little bit different from the original Libre and the original scent profile, then I think maybe take a look at this one. For me, the price point, I won't buy it at the price point that it's at now. When the prices come down, then I may look at buying it. But until then, I will not be purchasing it. So I think overall that this is quite a pretty scent. It's feminine, and it's kind of like if I had to put it into like a person wearing certain clothes, I would say it's like a pretty pink dress kind of woman wearing this. I wouldn't say it's like boss lady or anything, but definitely like a pretty pink dress, that kind of vibe. And it's definitely a warm scent. So I definitely enjoy this fragrance. It's a like, but it's not a love, but I do enjoy the fragrance. As I said, I will only be getting this fragrance, potentially getting this fragrance, once the once the price point has dropped. It's a little too pricey for me now. I don't think it's worth the price. So I do recommend it, but I recommend it to either get it at a discounter or to wait until the prices come down. Unfortunately, in South Africa, we don't have many discounters, so we're a little bit limited to what we can get at a cheaper price. So unfortunately, that's the South Africa problem. But I know there's a lot of fragrance discounters in Europe and in America. So I think, yeah, I think either wait or get it from a discounter. So that's the end of this review. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please click that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And please let me know which which Libre fragrance is your favorite in the line. Is it the new one? Do you prefer the OG? Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.